Welcome, everyone, to a story that's both heartfelt and profound. Tonight, we explore the often ignored history of individuals with Down syndrome, a journey spanning ancient times when their differences were shrouded in mystery, to modern eras of stigma, progress, and empowerment. This tale reveals how far society has advanced and how much further we must go to honor every life's inherent worth and potential. Before you settle in, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. If you connect with our storytelling, in the comments, share where you're watching from and what time it is there. I love hearing about our global community. Now, dim the lights, maybe switch on a fan for that gentle hum, and let's embark on this journey together. Long before science or medicine existed, humans interpreted the world through instinct, myth, and emotion. In these ancient days, a child born with distinct traits sparked awe or confusion. While no written records explicitly mention Down syndrome, archaeology offers poignant clues. In 2014, French researchers unearthed a 1,500-year-old burial site containing a child's remains with cranial features suggestive of Down syndrome. This child was laid to rest with care, not abandoned, but buried with the same reverence as others in their community. It's a subtle but powerful sign that, even without medical knowledge, some societies embraced difference. Perhaps this child was seen as unique, held gently, spoken to softly, loved not despite their traits but because of them. In ancient cultures, physical or intellectual differences often carried spiritual meaning. Some viewed them as divine gifts, others as omens or curses, depending on the era and worldview. Without a scientific lens, reactions varied widely. Archaeological finds, like possible Down syndrome burials in ancient Rome or the Andes, quietly affirm their presence across time. These individuals have always been part of humanity's tapestry, not as errors but as threads of its diversity. These ancient graves whisper across centuries, "I existed, I was valued, I was remembered." As we move deeper into history, we'll see how these whispers were sometimes silenced, yet slowly regained their strength. In the classical world, Greece, Rome, Egypt, India, difference was rarely seen medically but through myth and symbolism. Those who looked or acted uniquely were often cast as divine messengers or cosmic signs. A child with softer features or slower speech might inspire tales rather than diagnoses. In some cultures, they were thought to be touched by gods, closer to the spiritual realm. In others, they were feared as bearers of misfortune. Responses hinged on cultural beliefs and human temperament. In Greco-Roman myths, children born under unusual stars were seen as fateful. Egyptian tales spoke of divine interventions shaping lives. While these stories didn't name Down syndrome, they reflect a world where difference was woven into narrative, sometimes revered, sometimes shunned. In certain villages, such a child might be cherished at home. In others, hidden or cast out. Ancient Hindu texts, for instance, saw unique traits as karmic expressions, suggesting every soul held purpose. Though care wasn't always inclusive, without scientific understanding, individuals with Down syndrome were vulnerable to superstition and societal whims. They weren't yet seen as fully human in terms of rights or opportunity. Living on society's edge is sometimes elevated, often misunderstood. This lack of clarity persisted, shaped by folklore, religion, and later, flawed science. As we enter the Middle Ages, a veil of silence fell, particularly for those deemed outside the norm. From the 5th to 15th centuries, as Europe shifted from empires to feudal realms, religious dogma and fear shaped perceptions. Children born with Down syndrome faced a world dominated by strict beliefs. The Church's influence often framed differences as signs of sin or divine judgment. A child with distinct features or slower development might be seen as a spiritual warning, even demonic. In villages, their birth could spark rumors. Was it the family's fault? A curse. Without science, fear filled the gaps, often leading to isolation. Many such children were kept hidden, raised quietly at home, rarely seen publicly. Some were sent to monasteries, where religious orders cared for the vulnerable. This could mean safety and shelter, but often it meant separation from family, a life of quiet confinement. Yet glimmers of compassion existed. Some religious orders saw these individuals as pure, closer to God, offering kindness where society failed. Still, this era was largely silent. Without terms for Down syndrome or systems of support, families faced the unknown alone, their stories rarely recorded, their lives fading into history's margins. Despite the Middle Ages' harshness, not every tale was of rejection. In small communities, some families embraced their children with Down syndrome, choosing love over fear. Midwives and healers occasionally noted gentle or slow children cherished by their kin. In monasteries, some caretakers formed bonds beyond duty, teaching prayers or sharing daily tasks. These individuals weren't always educated formally, but were woven into community rhythms, helping in gardens, joining worship, valued for their presence. Medieval art hints at this compassion, with figures resembling Down syndrome depicted as angels or humble saints, suggesting they were seen as part of humanity's beauty. These moments were exceptions, not norms, in a world often cruel to difference. Yet they matter, showing that even in rigid times, some chose to see beyond fear, planting seeds for a future of inclusion. As Europe moved into the 17th and 18th centuries, curiosity began replacing superstition. The dawn of modern medicine brought a new lens, observation and classification. In 1866, British physician John Langdon Down, working at the Royal Earlswood Asylum, described a group of patients with shared traits: almond-shaped eyes, round faces, gentle demeanor. His paper, Observations on an Ethnic Classification of Idiots, offered the first medical description of what became known as Down syndrome. His term, Mongolism, based on flawed racial theories, was problematic, but his intent wasn't cruel. He advocated humane care, emphasizing dignity in a flawed system. This moment was pivotal, yet doubly. It gave a name to the condition, spurring research, but also reduced individuals to a diagnosis, their humanity often overlooked. They were no longer invisible, but were now scrutinized, categorized. As the 19th century turned to the 20th, industrialization brought systems to manage those who didn't fit society's mold. Institutions housed people with Down syndrome, promising care but often delivering isolation. Families, especially working-class ones, were told these facilities were best. Yet many institutions were overcrowded, understaffed, and impersonal. Residents, including those with Down syndrome, followed rigid routines, disconnected from family and agency. Society ignored their existence, perpetuating myths of incapacity. Some facilities offered genuine care, fostering bonds, but most were places of neglect. Bright, capable individuals lived behind walls, not because they were a threat, but because the world wasn't ready. This era was grim, but it set the stage for change. As voices began to rise, the 20th century brought misguided ideologies, like eugenics, which labeled people with Down syndrome as unfit. Governments in the US, Canada, Sweden, and beyond enforced sterilizations, stripping away autonomy. In Nazi Germany, the T4 program targeted disabled individuals, including those with Down syndrome, for extermination. Thousands were killed, their deaths masked as natural causes. This was a chilling misuse of science, a betrayal of humanity. Yet, even in darkness, resistors' parents, nurses protected lives, sowing seeds of defiance. The T4 program's horror unfolded methodically. Families were misled, told their children would receive care in special clinics. Instead, they were murdered, starved, gassed, or injected within days. Over 70,000 perished before public outcry halted the program in 1941, though killings continued. Covertly, these were not soldiers or enemies but children, teenagers, adults with dreams, erased as unworthy. This legacy underscores the danger of devaluing life. Yet, from this horror, a moral awakening began. Questioning inclusion and ethics. Post-World War II, the world recoiled from the Holocaust's atrocities, sparking change. Parents of children with Down syndrome refused silence, forming groups like the National Association for Retarded Children, now the ARC. These advocates, ordinary mothers and fathers, demanded dignity and rights. The civil rights era amplified their cause, linking disability rights to broader justice movements. Self-advocates with Down syndrome began speaking, shifting from shadows to center stage. Their message: we have voices, potential, and belong. The 1960s and 70s saw seismic shifts. In the U.S., the 1975 Education for All Handicapped Children Act ensured public education for children with Down syndrome. They entered classrooms, made friends, and shone, proving their capabilities. Teachers learned these students enriched communities. Media began humanizing them. 1979's UK documentary, A World Apart, showcased a young woman's life with dignity. Self-advocates spoke at conferences, their words powerful. We are not less, we are here. Visibility shattered myths, birthing inclusion. By the 1980s and 90s, advocacy, medical advances, and education reshaped perceptions. Heart surgeries and therapies improved outcomes, extending life expectancy from teens to 50s and beyond. Supported employment placed adults with. Today, challenges persist. Prenatal screening raises ethical questions, with high termination rates in some regions reflecting societal fears and lack of support. Tokenism risks reducing representation to novelty. Yet advocates push for true belonging, where every life is valued. This history of silence, struggle, and triumph teaches that worth is inherent. People with Down syndrome aren't side notes but vibrant chapters in humanity's story, radiating gentleness, resilience, and truth. Their lives remind us, connection, not perfection, defines us. Long before writing or cities, humans adorned themselves, expressing identity through nature's gift: shells, bones, feathers. In Morocco, 100,000-year-old perforated Nasirius shells, likely necklaces, mark a leap in symbolic thought, signaling status or belief. In prehistoric burials, ornaments adorned bodies, guiding souls or marking lineage. Jewelry wasn't vanity, but communication. Teeth necklaces showed prowess. Shells hinted at fertility. Crafted with care, these pieces were central to human experience, a language of meaning and memory. As civilizations rose, jewelry evolved. In Mesopotamia, gold became power's voice. Sumerian and Babylonian artisans shaped intricate headdresses and pendants, symbols of divine favor or eternal life. In Egypt, gold was divine flesh, amulets like scarabs or ankhs protecting wearers. Each stone, turquoise, lapis, held spiritual weight. Jewelry marked status, from pharaohs to children, even adorning the dead for their afterlife journey. It wasn't accessory, but identity, woven into religion, power, and the soul's narrative. In Greece and Rome, jewelry balanced beauty and civic pride. Greeks crafted gold wreaths and gemstone seals, valuing harmony. Romans, with empire's wealth, wore opulent pearls and emeralds. Even freed slaves, donning gold rings. Amulets, like the bulla, protected children. Each piece told of lineage or belief, a wearable story of identity. In India, jewelry was sacred, gold tied to prosperity goddess Lakshmi. Bangles, nose rings, and anklets carried spiritual weight, linking body and soul in a visual scripture of love and divinity. Medieval Europe wove jewelry into faith and power. Crosses and reliquaries held sacred relics, believed to heal. Kings wore gemmed crowns, sapphires for wisdom. rubies for courage. Merchants faced sumptuary laws, yet peasants wore simple charms. Jewelry was allegiance, belief, a bridge to the divine. The Renaissance elevated it to art, blending classical techniques with individualism. Nobles commissioned enameled gems and lockets, each a canvas of aspiration, love, or faith. Reflecting a rebirth of self-expression, the Baroque era turned jewelry into theater, fueled by colonial riches. Diamonds, emeralds, and gold reflected imperial might. Brooches and rosaries grew ornate, symbolizing power and piety. The 18th and 19th centuries democratized adornment. Neoclassical simplicity followed revolutions. While Victorian sentiment lockets, mourning rings made jewelry emotional. Mass production and global influences, from Japanese motifs to Mughal gems, broadened access, turning jewelry into personal biography for all classes. The 20th century broke traditions. Art Deco's bold geometry, Hollywood's glamorous pearls, and counterculture's handmade beads reflected shifting eras. Jewelry became rebellion, identity pride pins, nameplates speaking of culture and belief. Today, sustainability and ethics shape adornment, with lab-grown gems and artisan pieces valuing story over status. Jewelry remains humanity's voice. From ancient shells to digital age designs, forever speaking of who we are and what we hold dear. On Italy's shimmering coast near Naples lies Baio, once Rome's rival, now a sunken relic. Beneath its quiet waters, carved into volcanic rock, hides the oracle tomb, a chamber of steam and legend, whispered to be a gateway to the underworld. Baie was Rome's indulgent escape, built on the volatile Campi Flegrei, where earth breathes, sulfur and waters bubble. Emperors like Nero reveled here, their villas now submerged, preserved by the sea. Amid these ruins, the oracle tomb stands apart, carved with purpose, steeped in mystery. Baie wasn't just a city, it was a haven of pleasure and prophecy. Its volcanic landscape, the breathing place of gods, inspired awe. Villas gleamed, scandals whispered, yet the earth's restlessness sank the city over time. Divers now swim past submerged mosaics, but the oracle tomb, partially underwater, feels different. Its dark passage, carved into the hillside, suggests ritual, perhaps a portal to the divine or forbidden. It's not just a ruin, it's a journey into Rome's mythic heart. In the 1960s, British engineer Robert Paget uncovered this chamber near Baia's Baths. With Keith Jones, he explored a tunnel descending into darkness, its bends and benches, hinting at ritual. Sulphurous steam and a submerged pool created an otherworldly aura. Paget believed it was the Antrim, home of the Cumaean Sibyl, Apollo's prophetess. Ancient texts, like Virgil's Aeneid, describe a similar cave wherein he sought the underworld. Though dismissed by academics, the discovery haunts, suggesting myth made real. The Cumaean Sibyl, tied to nearby Lake Avernus, was Rome's mystic voice. Legend says she spoke prophecies amid volcanic fumes, guiding seekers through dark passages. To Hades, the oracle tomb's heat, sulfur, and eerie pool mirror Virgil's words, stifling descent to shadow. Was it her sanctuary, or a Roman recreation of myth? Either way, it's a space where the physical meets the metaphysical, where stone and steam blur life and death. Offering a glimpse into Rome's spiritual imagination, the oracle tomb's design is deliberate, a spiritual theater. Its 400-foot passage twists, narrows, and darkens, disorienting visitors. Benches suggest pauses for prayer. A shaft carries sulfuric vapors, evoking divine breath. The final chamber, a black pool reflecting torchlight, feels like the Styx, myths, river to the dead. Pilgrims likely sought prophecy or communion, emerging transformed. This wasn't casual exploration, but a sacred rite, where earth, fire, and water reshaped the soul, leaving an indelible mark. The tomb's genius lies in its sensory manipulation. Each curve, temperature shift, and echo crafts an experience. not just a structure. Paget saw it as a ritual space, possibly for a hidden priestess delivering oracles. Its alignment with mythic tales suggests it was built to embody Hades' threshold, a place where Romans felt the divine. Whether real or theatrical, it worked, altering minds and hearts. It's a testament to Rome's belief that myth and reality were one, a portal etched in stone. Skeptics dismissed Paget's claims, citing the tomb's lack of grandeur or artifacts. Yet its precision, its curves, vapors, and pool defies randomness. Recent studies, using radar and underwater mapping, reconsider its purpose, seeing it as a functional space for ritual. It wasn't meant to dazzle, but to transform, drawing seekers into a mythic descent. The oracle tomb doesn't offer answers but questions. Is it myth carved into reality, or reality shaped by myth? Its silence still speaks, challenging us to listen today. Baia's oracle tomb fades beside Pompeii. Fame, its entrance unmarked, its passage damp and quiet. Yet visitors feel its wet, a hush, a tightening air. It's more than history. It's a threshold to Rome's psyche, where gods and spirits lingered. The Romans feared the underworld, offering gifts at crater edges. This chamber, with its sulfur and stillness, embodies that liminal space. It's not heaven or hell, but a doorway, where questions linger, cradled in stone, forever whispering of the unknown. Simone Biles, born March 14, 1997, in Columbus, Ohio, entered a world of chaos. Her mother's addiction led to foster care, a turbulent start. Yet at 3, her spark ignited when her grandparents, Ron and Nellie Biles, adopted her and her sister, offering love and stability. In Houston, a daycare trip to a gym changed everything. Simone, enthralled by tumbling athletes, mimicked them. A coach's note urged enrollment, revealing her explosive talent, balance, and joy. Gymnastics became her sanctuary, her strength rising from adversity. Simone's ascent was no fluke, but a blend of grit, talent, and opportunity. At Bannon's Gymnastics, coaches saw her potential early. Her small frame, just 4 feet 8, gave her speed and power. But her mental toughness and love for the sport shone brighter. Coach Amy Borman shaped her, balancing rigor with care. Homeschooled for flexibility, Simone still enjoyed pizza and backyard flips, grounded by family and faith. By 14, she dazzled in junior competitions, her daring routines hinting at a future that would redefine gymnastics. In 2013, at 16, Simone burst onto the senior stage at the World Championships in Antwerp. She didn't just win, she reshaped the sport, claiming all-around gold with unmatched skill. From 2013 to 2016, she won 3 consecutive world titles, her routines pushing boundaries with gravity-defying moves. Her joy, confidence, and authenticity captivated audiences, shifting gymnastics toward power and personality. By the 2016 Rio Olympics, Simone wasn't just a star, she was the future. Poised to dominate and inspire. In Rio, Simone delivered. She won 4 golds and a bronze, setting a record for an American gymnast. Her vault soared, her floor moved the Bible stunt. She competed with unmatched presence, blending power and grace. Off the mat, she remained relatable, sharing laughs and faith. As the first woman of color to win Olympic all-around gold. For the U.S., she broke barriers, redefining athletic greatness. Rio wasn't just a victory, it was a coronation, cementing Simone as a transformative force in sport and culture. Post-Rio, Simone became a global icon. Tours, TV, a best-selling memoir, fame surged, but so did pressure. Every move was watched, every comeback questioned. In 2018, she returned, competing through injuries to dominate nationals. Yet beneath the triumphs, the sport's dark side loomed. In 2018, Simone revealed she was a survivor of Larry Nassar's abuse, bravely demanding accountability from USA Gymnastics. Her voice sparked change, resonating beyond the gym, proving strength lies in truth, not just medals. In Tokyo 2021, Simone faced unprecedented expectations. Mid-competition, she withdrew, citing twisties, a dangerous mental block. Her choice shocked the world, but showed courage, prioritizing safety over glory. She cheered her team, later earning bronze on beam. Simone redefined strength as vulnerability, challenging a culture of relentless performance. Her stand gave athletes permission to pause, proving even the greatest are human. Tokyo wasn't about gold, it was about wisdom, resilience, and redefining victory. After Tokyo, Simone stepped back, focusing on healing through therapy and advocacy. In 2023, she returned on her terms, dominating the U.S. Classic with new, daring routines, including the Yurchenko double pike. Her marriage to Jonathan Owens grounded her, balancing elite sport with personal joy. Simone's comeback wasn't about proving herself but reclaiming her narrative. She showed longevity in a grueling sport, competing with laughter and choice, a woman in control, rewriting what it means to endure and thrive. Simone Biles is gymnastics' greatest, with over 30 medals and 4 named skills. She reshaped the sport, blending power and authenticity, breaking barriers as a woman of color. Beyond medals, her advocacy for mental health and safety shifted culture, inspiring athletes to value self-worth. Her legacy leotards in museums, books, and inspired cartwheels proves strength isn't carrying burdens, but knowing when to rest. Simone's story, mid-flight, lands in hearts, a revolution of resilience, honesty, and unapologetic selfhood. Asterisk, as we close the chapters on Down syndrome, jewelry, the Oracle Tomb, and Simone Biles, we turn to another thread in humanity's vast tapestry, the story of storytelling itself. From ancient fireside tales to modern screens, stories have been the heartbeat of human connection, shaping how we understand ourselves, our past, and our possibilities. This journey through the art of narrative reveals not just how we've told stories, but how they've told us who we are, what we fear, and what we dream. So, settle in, maybe light a candle for that ancient glow, and let's explore how storytelling has woven humanity together across millennia. Long before words were etched on clay or paper, stories lived in the air, carried by voices around flickering fires. In prehistoric times, humans gathered in caves or under starlit skies, sharing tales of hunts, spirits, and ancestors. These weren't mere entertainments, but lifelines, passing knowledge, values, and warnings through generations. Cave paintings, like those in Lascaux, France, dating back 17,000 years, are humanity's earliest storyboards. Vivid scenes of bison, hunters, and mystic symbols, etched not just to depict but to conjure meaning. A charging beast wasn't just art. It was a story of survival, courage, or ritual, told in ochre and shadow. These early narratives were communal, shaped by the teller's voice and the listener's imagination. A story of a great flood or a cunning predator wasn't static. It shifted with each retelling, adapting to the needs of the tribe. Storytellers were revered, not just entertainers, but keepers of memory, weaving identity into every tale. In Aboriginal Australian traditions, Dreamtime stories explained creation, land, and law, connecting people to the earth itself. These oral epics, some surviving 40,000 years, were maps of meaning, guiding behavior and binding communities in shared belief. As societies grew, so did their stories. In Mesopotamia, around 2100 BCE, the Epic of Gilgamesh was carved onto clay tablets, one of the first written narratives. This tale of a king's quest for immortality grappled with universal questions. What does it mean to live, to die, to love? Its verses, chiseled in cuneiform, weren't just literature, but a mirror of human longing, reflecting fears and hopes that still resonate. In Egypt, Tales of gods like Osiris and Isis were inscribed in tombs, not just to honor the divine but to guide souls through the afterlife. Stories as essential as breath. In these ancient worlds, storytelling wasn't separate from life. It was life. Priests recited myths to appease gods. Poets sang of heroes to inspire warriors. In Greece, bards like Homer wove the Iliad and Odyssey, tales of war and wandering that shaped cultural ideals of honor and cunning. These epics, performed aloud, weren't just for elites but for all, shared in marketplaces and festivals. Listeners didn't just hear of Odysseus's trials, they felt them, their own struggles echoed in his journey. Stories were a shared pulse, uniting stranger and kin. As empires rose, storytelling became a tool of power. In Rome, emperors commissioned narratives to cement their legacy. Think of Virgil's Aeneid, a mythic origin story tying Rome to divine destiny. Yet, alongside these grand tales, quieter stories thrived. Slaves whispered folk tales of tricksters, outwitting masters. Mothers sang lullabies, weaving hope into their children's dreams. These stories, rarely written, were no less vital, preserving resilience in the face of oppression. Across cultures, from India's Ramayana to China's journey to the West, narratives shaped moral codes, binding societies through shared heroes and values. The Middle Ages cloaked storytelling in faith and mystery. In Europe, monks transcribed biblical tales, their illuminated manuscripts glowing with devotion. These stories weren't just read, they were experienced in churches, where stained glass and sermons brought parables to life. Meanwhile, wandering minstrels spun tales of knights and dragons, blending Christian virtue with pagan echoes. In Islamic courts, 1001 Nights unfolded. Scheherazada's tales of adventure and wit, saving her life through narrative's power. Stories weren't just art. They were survival, shaping hearts and minds. Yet, not all stories were grand. In villages, oral traditions, thrived folk tales of clever foxes or cursed forests, passed down by elders. These were the people's stories, rooted in local landscapes, fears, and humor. In West Africa, griots sang histories of kings and clans, their voices weaving community identity. These tales, often dismissed by elites, carried truths no chronicle could capture. They spoke of human struggle, joy, and defiance, reminding listeners that even in hardship, imagination could carve a path to hope. The invention of the printing press in the 15th century revolutionized storytelling. Suddenly, stories weren't confined to voices or manuscripts, but multiplied on pages, reaching wider audiences. Gutenberg's press birthed the literary explosion. Books, like Dante's Divine Comedy or Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, brought complex narratives to merchants and scholars alike. Reading became a private act, yet stories remained communal, sparking debates in taverns and courts. The Renaissance celebrated the individual, and stories reflected this. Think of Shakespeare, whose plays explored the human soul with unmatched depth. As exploration and trade connected the world, stories crossed borders. European sailors carried tales of distant lands, while colonized peoples wove their own narratives of resistance. In the Americas, indigenous oral traditions clashed with colonial chronicles, each shaping history in its own way. Stories became battleground stools of conquest or shields of identity. Yet, they also bridged divides, as travelers shared myths, blending cultures in unexpected ways. The Popol Vuh of the Maya, preserved despite conquest, spoke of creation and resilience, a testament to narrative's enduring power. The 18th and 19th centuries brought new voices to the forefront. The novel emerged as a dominant form, giving storytellers like Jane Austen or Charles Dickens space to explore society's nuances. These stories weren't just entertainment, but social mirrors, critiquing class, gender, and power. Meanwhile, enslaved African Americans crafted spirituals and folk tales, like those of Brew Rabbit, embedding resistance in metaphor. These narratives, born of pain, carried hope and defiance, proving stories could be weapons against oppression, wielded with cunning and grace. The 20th century transformed storytelling again, as technology amplified its reach. Radio brought serialized dramas to living rooms. Film turned stories into visual spectacles. Hollywood's epics, from Gone with the Wind to Star Wars, created shared cultural moments, uniting millions. Yet, smaller stories persisted oral histories. Protest songs and underground signs gave voice to the marginalized. In the civil rights era, stories of struggle, like Martin Luther King Jr.'s speeches or Maya Angelou's memoirs, became catalysts for change, proving narrative's power to shift history. The digital age has made storytelling boundless. The internet turned everyone into a potential storyteller. Blogs, vlogs, and social media posts weave a global tapestry of voices. Platforms like YouTube or TikTok let individuals share personal tales, from triumphs to traumas, reaching millions in seconds. Yet, this democratization has challenges. Misinformation spreads as easily as truth, and algorithms can amplify division. Still, digital stories have given rise to movements #TagMeToo, Black Lives Matter, where personal narratives spark collective action, echoing ancient fireside tales. Today, storytelling faces a paradox. We're flooded with narratives, yet crave authenticity. Indigenous creators reclaim their myths online. Refugees share journeys through podcasts. These stories remind us of narrative's root purpose: to connect, to humanize, to endure. From ancient caves to modern screens, storytelling remains humanity's pulse. It's how we make sense of chaos, how we find each other in the dark. Every tale, from a child's bedtime story to an epic saga, carries a truth. We are here, we matter, and our stories will outlast us. As we reflect on this journey, consider the stories that shape you. What tales do you carry? What narratives do you share? In a world of noise, storytelling remains our quiet rebellion. A way to claim space, to honor the past, and to dream the future. Like the individuals with Down syndrome who found their voice. The jewelry that spoke of identity, the oracle tomb whispering myth, or Simone Biles rewriting strength. Stories remind us of our shared humanity. They are not just told, they are lived, felt, and remembered. Thank you for joining this exploration. If these tales moved you, like the video and subscribe for more journeys through humanity's heart. In the comments, tell me, where are you watching from, and what's a story that shaped you? Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep telling your story. It matters, as we've journeyed through the resilient voices of those with Down syndrome, the shimmering language of jewelry, the mythic whispers of Baya's oracle tomb, the gravity-defying courage of Simone Biles, and the timeless power of storytelling. We now turn to another thread in humanity's vibrant weave, the story of music. From ancient flutes carved from bone to digital beats pulsing through global airwaves, music has been a universal language, transcending borders, binding hearts, and carrying the human spirit through joy and sorrow. Tonight, let's explore how music has shaped our story, echoing our deepest truths and dreams. So, find a quiet corner, maybe hum a tune that lingers in your soul, and let's dive into this melody of history together. Long before cities rose or words were written, music was born in the rhythm of existence itself. In the rustle of leaves, the crash of waves, the pulse of a heartbeat. Early humans found patterns that stirred something primal. The oldest known musical instrument, a 40,000-year-old flute crafted from vulture bone, was discovered in a German cave. Its delicate holes, carved with precision, suggest not just sound but intention, a desire to create, to connect, to express what words could not. Around ancient campfires, voices rose in chants, hands clapped in rhythm, and feet stomped to unseen beats, weaving communities together. These early sounds weren't mere noise, but a language of survival and spirit. In hunter-gatherer societies, music marked rituals, births, hunts, deaths. A drum's thud might summon courage before a chase. A lullaby's hum could soothe a restless child. In Aboriginal Australian cultures, songlines wove music with geography, their melodies mapping sacred routes across the land, preserving knowledge for millennia. Music was memory, a vessel for stories and laws, sung under stars, passed from elder to youth, ensuring no truth was lost to time. As civilizations emerged, music grew richer, more deliberate. In ancient Sumer around 3000 BCE, clay tablets describe hymns to gods, played on lyres and harps. These weren't just songs but offerings, believed to bridge earth and divine. In Egypt, sistrums rattled in temple ceremonies, their metallic jangle invoking Hathor, goddess of music and joy. Musicians, often women, were revered, their melodies guiding pharaohs to the afterlife. Instruments evolved, flutes, lutes, drums, each culture crafting sounds that mirrored its soul. From the mournful wail of a reed pipe to the triumphant blast of a horn. In these ancient worlds, music was inseparable from life. It marked seasons, harvests, and victories. In Greece, the aloes, a double reed pipe, wailed at festivals, while poets like Sappho paired lyrics with lyre, their songs exploring love and loss. Music wasn't just art, it was philosophy, a way to wrestle with the human condition. The Greeks believed in ethos, the idea that music could shape character. Calm melodies soothed, martial rhythms emboldened. Pythagoras studied harmonics, seeing music as a cosmic order, notes reflecting the universe's math. As empires expanded, music became a tool of unity and power. In Rome, trumpets blared at triumphs, signaling imperial might, while tavern songs gave voice to the commoners' joys and gripes. Across the Silk Road, Persian lutes met Indian sitars, blending scales in markets and courts. In China, the guqin's delicate strings were played by scholars, its notes a meditation on balance and harmony. Music crossed boundaries, carrying ideas where armies couldn't. Yet, it also preserved the small lullabies sung by mothers, work songs chanted by laborers. Each note a thread of resilience. The Middle Ages wrapped music in reverence and mystery. In Europe, Gregorian chants filled monasteries, their monophonic lines rising like prayers to stone ceilings. These melodies, named for Pope Gregory I, were standardized to unify the Church, their simplicity a conduit to the divine. In secular life, troubadours wandered courts, singing of chivalry and forbidden love, their lutes weaving tales that rivaled any scripture. In the Islamic world, Sufi mystics spun poetry into song, their whirling dances and qawwali music seeking union with God, each note a step toward transcendence. Yet, music wasn't only for elites. In villages, folk tunes thrived, ballads of lost lovers or clever rogues, sung at hearths or harvest festivals. In West Africa, drummers played polyrhythms, so complex they seemed to speak, each beat a story of lineage or resistance. These traditions, often unwritten, were no less profound, carrying the pulse of communities through centuries. Music was a refuge, a way to laugh, mourn, or defy in a world of rigid hierarchies. It gave voice to the silenced, proving sound could outlast stone. The Renaissance tuned music to new frequencies. Polyphony blossomed, with composers like Palestrina, layering voices in sacred masses, their harmonies soaring like cathedrals in sound. Secular music flourished to madrigals, captured loves, fleeting joys, while lutes and viols played at noble feasts. The printing press, a Renaissance marvel, spread sheet music, letting melodies travel beyond courts. Music became a mirror of the era's curiosity, blending art and science. Composers like Josquin des Prez crafted works that balanced emotion and precision, their notes a dialogue with the divine and human. As global exploration surged, music wove a cross-cultural tapestry. European sailors carried shanties to distant shores, while African rhythms, forcibly brought to the Americas, seeded new forms. In the Caribbean, enslaved peoples blended Yoruba drums with colonial hymns, birthing sounds that defied their chains. In India, ragas evolved, their intricate scales evoking specific moods, played at precise times to align with nature's rhythms. Music became a bridge and a battleground, absorbing influences while preserving identities, each note a testament to human adaptability. The 17th and 18th centuries saw music soar to new heights. The Baroque era brought drama batches, fugues wove intricate patterns, Vivaldi's Four Seasons painted nature in sound. Opera emerged, blending music, theater, and spectacle. Monteverdi's Orfeo told mythic tales with raw emotion. In royal courts, orchestras grew, their strings and winds, a symbol of prestige. Yet music remained. Universal peasants danced to fiddles, sailors sang of storms. In Japan, shamisen players spun tales of samurai, their plaintive notes echoing a culture. In flux, the 19th century romanticized music, making it a vessel for the soul. Beethoven's symphonies raged and soared, his deafness no barrier to genius. Chopin's nocturnes whispered of longing, while Verdi's operas stirred nationalist fervor. Music halls democratized sound working-class families flocked to hear ballads or brass bands. In America, spirituals rose from enslaved communities, their harmonies a cry for freedom. While Native American chants preserved sacred stories against colonial erasure, music wasn't just heard, it was felt, a force that could unite or divide. The 20th century electrified music, literally and figuratively. The phonograph brought recordings to homes, radio broadcasted jazz to millions. Blues, born in the Mississippi Delta, gave voice to black pain and resilience, its raw chords shaping rock, soul, and hip-hop. In Europe, Stravinsky's dissonant Rite of Spring shocked audiences, redefining what music could be. World wars muted some sounds but amplified other soldiers' songs, resistance anthems. Post-war rock and roll exploded, Elvis and the Beatles igniting youth rebellion, their riffs a global language. Music also became protest. Bob Dylan's folk hymns fueled civil rights. Fela Kuti's Afrobeat challenged Nigerian corruption. In apartheid South Africa, Miriam Makeba's voice carried exile's pain. Meanwhile, classical composers like Shostakovich wove dissent into symphonies. Dodging Soviet censors, music crossed borders. Reggae spread Rastafari's message. Bollywood soundtracks blended tradition with pop. By the century's end, hip-hop rose, its rhymes a raw chronicle of urban life. From Public Enemy's defiance to Tupac's introspection, proving music could speak truth to power. 00:4 to 50, the digital age has made music infinite. Streaming platforms like Spotify deliver every genre to every corner, from K-pop's polished beats to Inuit throat singing. Social media turns bedrooms into studios. Artists like Billie Eilish craft hits with laptops, their raw honesty resonating globally. Yet, this accessibility has shadows. Algorithms favor viral hits, sidelining niche voices. Piracy challenges artists' livelihoods. Still, music thrives as activism. Beyoncé's Lemonade reclaims black womanhood. Kendrick Lamar's verses dissect systemic injustice, their sound sparking dialogue today. Music is both universal and personal. It's the playlist that carries you through a breakup, the anthem chanted at protests, the lullaby sung to a newborn. From ancient bone flutes to AI-generated tracks, music remains humanity's heartbeat, a language needing no translation. It holds our grief, amplifies our joy, and defies our divisions. Like the advocates who uplifted Down syndrome, the artisans who forged jewelry, the seekers of Bayes' mysteries, the courage of Simone Biles, or the tales that bind us. Music reminds us we are connected, our notes part of a shared song. As we close this melody, reflect on the music that moves you. What song lifts your spirit? What What rhythm tells your story? In a world of discord, music is our harmony, a way to find each other, to heal, to dream. If this journey resonated, like the video and subscribe for more human-centered histories. In the comments, share where you're watching from and a song that speaks to you. Until next time, keep listening, keep singing, and let your music ripple through the world. It's your voice, and it matters. Having traced the resilient voices of those with Down syndrome, the gleaming symbols of jewelry, the mythic echoes of Bayet's oracle tomb, the soaring courage of Simone Biles, the binding power of storytelling, and the universal pulse of music, we now step into another vibrant strand of humanity's story, the art of dance. From ancient rituals under moonlit skies to electrifying performances on global stages, dance has been a language of the body, speaking where words fall short, uniting communities, and expressing the soul's deepest truths. Tonight, let's move through the history of dance, discovering how it has carried our joys, sorrows, and dreams across time. So, find a space to sway, maybe tap your foot to an inner rhythm, and join me on this journey through movement's timeless embrace. Long before stages or spotlights, dance was born in the pulse of life itself. In the flicker of firelight, early humans moved stomping, spinning, swaying to rhythms only they could hear. Archaeological clues, like 30,000-year-old rock art in Bhimbetka, India, show figures leaping in what seems like dance, their forms frozen mid-motion. These weren't mere gestures but rituals, tying humans to the earth, the gods, and each other. In prehistoric tribes, dance marked the cycles of existence: hunts, harvests, births, deaths, each step, a conversation with the unseen. These early dances were communal, visceral, sacred. A circle of hunters might mimic a stag's stride to ensure a successful chase. A mother's gentle sway could lull a child to sleep. In African sand communities, trance dances under starlit skies invoked spirits, healers shaking to rhythmic claps, their movements bridging worlds. Dance was memory, a way to honor ancestors or teach survival, its patterns etched not on stone, but in muscle and breath. In Australia, indigenous corroborees wove stories of creation, each gesture a verse in a living epic, binding dancers to land and lineage. As civilizations rose, dance became art and ritual intertwined. In ancient Egypt, around 2500 BCE, temple dancers swayed to sistrums, their precise gestures honoring gods like Hathor. Wall reliefs show women in flowing robes, arms arched, bodies aligned with cosmic order. These dances weren't spectacle, but worship, believed to maintain harmony between earth and divine. In Mesopotamia, cuneiform texts describe dancers at festivals. Their spins celebrating fertility or victory, their bodies a canvas for collective joy. In these ancient worlds, dance was life's heartbeat. It marked seasons, weddings, wars. In India, the Natya Shastra, a 2,000-year-old text, codified dance as divine. Its mudras, hand gestures telling stories of gods like Shiva, whose cosmic dance created and destroyed worlds. In Greece, dance was both sacred and social menads, whirled in Dionysian rites, while citizens stepped in synchronized choruses at festivals, their movements echoing civic unity. Dance wasn't just expression, it was identity, a way to belong, to believe, to be seen. As empires grew, dance became a mirror of power and culture. In Rome, pantomime dancers reenacted myths in amphitheaters, their silent gestures so potent, they rivaled orators. Across the Han Dynasty in China, sleeve dances flowed like silk, their elegance a symbol of imperial grace. Yet, dance also thrived in the margin. Slaves moved to secret rhythms, villagers stomped at harvest feasts. In Mesoamerica, Mayan dancers donned jaguar masks, their steps invoking rain gods, each leap a prayer for survival. Dance crossed borders, blending traditions as traders and conquerors carried steps from one land to another. The Middle Ages draped Dance in faith and festivity. In Europe, Christian rituals included processional dances, pilgrims circling shrines to hymns, their steps a form of devotion. Yet, the Church often eyed secular dance warily, fearing its sensuality. Still, peasants twirled at maypole festivals, their reels defying dogma with laughter and sweat. In royal courts, pavans and galliards emerged, their stately steps a dance of diplomacy, each bow a coded alliance. In the Islamic world, Sufi dervishes spun in ecstatic whirls, their rotations a mystic path to God. Each turn a surrender to divine love. Beyond courts and mosques, folk dances flourished. In Eastern Europe, circle dances wove communities, hands clasped as villagers spun through weddings or harvests. In West Africa, dances like the sabar pulsed with polyrhythms. Each step a story of lineage or resistance, passed down through generations. These dances, often unrecorded, were no less vital. Their movements a rebellion against silence, a celebration of life's persistence. Dance was a universal tongue, speaking of hope and defiance in a world of rigid orders. As we've woven through the resilient voices of those with Down syndrome, the radiant language of jewelry, the mythic whispers of Bea's oracle tomb, the fearless leaps of Simone Biles, the binding threads of storytelling, the universal pulse of music, and the vibrant steps of dance, we now turn to another luminous strand in humanity's tapestry, the story of visual art, from ancient pigments smeared on cave walls to digital canvases glowing on screens. Art has been a mirror of the human soul, capturing our dreams, fears, and truths in color and form. Tonight, let's journey through the history of visual art, exploring how it has shaped our story and reflected our shared humanity. So, find a quiet space, perhaps gaze at a favorite image, and join me in this gallery of time. Long before cities or scripts, humans painted their world, leaving marks that still speak. In caves like Chauvet, France, 35,000 years ago, early artists mixed ochre and charcoal, tracing bison, horses, and handprints on stone. These weren't mere drawings but acts of meaning, perhaps rituals to summon luck or commune with spirits. Each stroke, lit by flickering torches, was a declaration. We are here, we see, we feel. In Indonesia's Sulawesi caves, 40,000-year-old stencils of hands and pigs mark humanity's first gallery. Their faded reds a testament to our need to create. These early artworks were communal, born in shared spaces. A hunter might smear clay to mimic a lion's roar. A shaman could paint to guide souls. In Aboriginal Australian rock art, dotted patterns mapped dreamtime stories, linking land and spirit across millennia. Art was not decoration but survival, a way to teach, worship, or remember. Its creators, anonymous yet eternal, spoke through their hands, their images outlasting empires. In darkness, they painted light, proving the human spirit could shine through stone. As civilizations rose, art became a language of power and belief. In ancient Egypt, around 3000 BCE, tomb walls bloomed with scenes of gods and pharaohs, their rigid forms ensuring eternal life. Hieroglyphs and painted papyrus told stories of creation, each line precise, each color blue for divinity, gold for eternity, prayer in pigment. In Mesopotamia, reliefs of winged bulls and kings adorned palaces, their grandeur proclaiming divine rule. Art wasn't just seen, it was felt, a bridge between mortal and divine, its forms as vital as breath. In these ancient worlds, art was life's pulse. It marked rituals, victories, losses. In India, Ajanta's cave murals, painted from 200 BCE, glowed with Buddhist tales, their fluid figures dancing in ochre and lapis. In China, oracle bones bore etched symbols, early art blending divination and script. In the Americas, Olmec sculptors carved colossal heads, their stern faces guarding sacred truths. Art varied by culture, but shared a purpose: to make sense. of existence, to claim a place in the cosmos, to say, this is who we are. As empires grew, art became a tool of identity and ambition. In Greece, classical sculptures like the Discopolis captured the ideal human form, their marble curves celebrating balance and reason. Temples bore friezes of gods and heroes, their stories carved for all to see. In Rome, mosaics sparkled in villas, depicting feasts or myths, while triumphal arches glorified emperors. Yet, art also thrived in quiet spaces: pottery, painted with daily life, amulets etched with prayers. Across the Silk Road, Buddhist icons met Persian miniatures, blending visions in a vibrant exchange. The Middle Ages cloaked art in faith and awe. In Europe, Byzantine icons glowed with gold, their solemn saints staring into eternity, guiding worshippers to God. Cathedrals rose, their stained glass blazing with biblical tales, each shard a sermon in light. Illuminated manuscripts, like the Book of Kells, wove Celtic knots in scripture, their colors amongst devotion. In the Islamic world, mosques bloomed with arabesques, their non-figural patterns a meditation on infinity. Art was worship, its beauty a path to the divine, its craft a sacred act. Yet, art wasn't only for the holy. In villages, folk carvings adorned homes, their simple forms birds, flowers whispering of hope and hearth. In West Africa, Benin bronzes captured kings and warriors, their intricate casts a chronicle of pride. In Mesoamerica, Mayan murals pulsed with color, their gods and rituals defying time. These works, often overlooked by elites, were no less profound, their makers weaving stories of resilience into wood, clay, and stone. Art was a voice for all, its strokes a rebellion against silence. The Renaissance rekindled art's spark, blending faith with human wonder. In Italy, masters like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo painted and sculpted with new depth. The Mona Lisa's enigmatic smile, the Sistine Chapel's vibrant creation, captured the soul's complexity, their realism, a hymn to humanity. Perspective transformed canvases, making space breathe. Art became a quest for truth. Botticelli's Birth of Venus wove myth and beauty, while Dürer's engravings in Germany married precision and passion. The printing press spread these visions, making art a shared marvel. As exploration linked countenance, art absorbed new hues. European painters adopted Asian techniques, like Japan's flat perspectives, while colonial encounters brought African masks to Western eyes, later inspiring modernists. In the Americas, indigenous codices preserved stories despite conquest, their vibrant glyphs, a defiant archive. Art became a dialogue, sometimes violent, often vibrant between cultures. Mughal miniatures in India blended Persian and Hindu styles, their delicate scenes of love and war, a testament to synthesis. Art was a mirror, reflecting both clash and creation. The 17th and 18th centuries turned art into drama and discovery. Baroque painters like Caravaggio wielded light and shadow, their chiaroscuro, making saints and sinners pulse with life. In the Netherlands, Vermeer's quiet interiors captured fleeting moments, their intimacy a new kind of reverence. Portraiture flourished, aristocrats immortalized in oils, yet genre scenes peasants. Markets gave voice to the everyday. In Japan, ukiyo-e prints celebrated fleeting pleasures, their bold lines shaping global aesthetics. Art was no longer just sacred. It was human, curious, alive. The 19th century romanticized art, making it a cry of the soul. Romantic painters like Turner churned seas and skies, their turbulent canvases echoing nature's power. Impressionists like Monet broke form, their dappled light capturing life's shimmer. Meanwhile, photography emerged, its stark truths challenging painting's role. In colonized lands, art resisted Hawaiian quilts, wove native pride. Indian bazaar art mocked British rule. Art became a battlefield, its images shaping identity, rebellion, and dreams in a rapidly changing world. The 20th century shattered art's boundaries. Modernism unleashed Picasso's fractured Guernica, a scream against war, and Kandinsky's abstract swirls, painting emotion itself. Dada and surrealism mocked convention, Duchamp's ready-mades, redefining art's meaning. In Harlem, black artists like Jacob Lawrence painted migration and resilience, their bold colors a cultural renaissance. Global voices rose. Mexican muralists like Rivera reclaimed history, while Aboriginal dot paintings reclaimed land. Art became protest, exploration, a refusal to be boxed by tradition or oppression. Technology transformed art's reach. Film blended visuals with story. Animation birthed new worlds. Pop art, via Warhol's soup cans, turned commerce into critique, while street art, like Banksy's stencils, claimed public spaces. In Africa, post-independence artists like El Anatsui wove scrap into tapestries, their shimmer a new aesthetic. Of survival, art crossed borders. Japanese anime, Brazilian graffiti, each mark a global conversation. Yet, it remained personal, from a child's sketch to a refugee's mural. Each stroke a claim to existence. The digital age has made art infinite. Platforms like Instagram turn phones into galleries, where unknown artists share surreal digital collages or vibrant fan art. NFTs spark debates, their blockchain canvases redefining value. Yet, challenges loom. AI-generated art questions authorship, while cultural theft persists online. Still, art thrives as resistance. Indigenous artists reclaim motifs. Queer creators paint fluid identities. From cave walls to pixels, art remains. Humanity's mirror, reflecting our chaos, beauty and truth in every hue. Today, art is both ancient and immediate. It's the doodle in a notebook, the mural on a city wall, the masterpiece in a museum. Like the advocates for Down syndrome, the artisans of jewelry, the seekers of Baillet's mysteries, the courage of Simone Biles, the tales that bind us, the music that moves us, or the dances that free us. Art reminds us we are creators, connected, and our visions endure. It holds our pain, amplifies our hope, and defies our divisions. Each stroke a step toward understanding. As we close this gallery, reflect on the art that stirs you. What image lingers in your mind? What creation tells your story? In a world of shadows, art is our light, a way to see each other, to heal, to dream. If this journey resonated, like the video and subscribe for more human-centered histories. In the comments, share where you're watching from and an artwork that speaks to you. Until next time, keep creating, keep seeing, and let your art illuminate the world. It's your vision, and it matters.